And so simple exercise would be to focus on that critic or the caretaking part or the one that tries to organize everything and control everything, or whichever one it is. And notice where it seems to be broadcasting from or located in your body or around your body. And then as you notice it, notice how you feel toward it.
Big show today, guys.
Happy to be with you.
Gabrielle Bernstein, a role model for a new generation of spiritual seekers.
There's two sort of selfish requests. So the first one is, I'm writing this book right now, which has taken IFS and EMDR and SE and all these different practices to get me to the place where I felt safe enough to write this book. And it's a book of really a trauma journey of my recovery. And I'm introducing IFS from my own experience of it.
Mhm.
And offline, I'd love to share with you to make sure I'm really holding up for you here with what I'm sharing, what I'm teaching. But I've noticed as I study with you that we really don't want to, like you said, let people start to explore those exiles unless they're in a therapeutic setting. And so what's the most gentle and impactful way to allow somebody to practice IFS for the first time, maybe on themselves,
Mhm.
in a way that won't blow them out in a triggered state?
Yeah. So, like I said earlier, it's very safe in general to practice IFS with your protectors.
Mhm.
And so we've talked about a variety of common protectors, and maybe as we've done that, your listeners have been thinking about their own. And so simple exercise would be to focus on that critic or the caretaking part or the one that tries to organize everything and control everything, or whichever one it is. And notice where it seems to be broadcasting from or located in your body or around your body. And then as you notice it, notice how you feel toward it. So those are the first three steps of IFS in working with any part. And if you don't like it, or you're afraid of it, or you've got some kind of attitude toward it, that means there are other parts that are polarized with it.
Hmm.
So then you ask those other parts to just for a few minutes give you a little space in there so you can open your mind and your heart to it. And you do that until you get to a point where you feel either curious or compassion. And you don't interact with it until you're there. But once you're there, you simply ask what it wants you to know or why it's doing what it's doing. And then you wait for an answer. That's the key, because
Right.
some of us have been in other kinds of therapies where this narrating part figures it out and does all the talking. So you don't want it to come from there. You want it just to come right from that protector, the answer. And you get an answer, and then you begin a dialogue with it. And there's some common questions that I can share, but
Mhm.
mainly you're trying to get to know it and honor it. Once you learn about what it protects, honor it instead of vilify it, which you had been doing.
And so I'm clear, you're really working to get to know the protector.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in doing that, you'll learn about what it's protecting,
Mm-hmm.
which often is an exile.
Mm-hmm.
And it's fine to learn about your exile. It's really when you go there, it's good to have somebody hold your hand,
Oh, yeah.
figuratively at least. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a therapist, but somebody who can be with you even if you're in a lot of emotion.
Yeah.
And you trust can not freak out by it.
Yeah. Yeah. Is there a place that people could find an IFS therapist?
Yeah, we have a website and it has a directory. The website is ifs-institute.com.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's a directory on it and a store with a lot of resources. So,
Mm-hmm. And if you're not a trained therapist, can you be trained in IFS beyond the inner
yeah,
circle? And yeah,
yeah, our training programs are open to most anybody.
great.
Um, and you can't call yourself a therapist when you're
Of
done,
course not.
but you can, work on yourself, and like you said, work with your husband, and
Yep.
you know,
Share
yeah,
it.
it's good that way. Share it.
Yeah, share it and live it. Most importantly, live it.
Yeah.
I hope you're enjoying this show. And if you want to get more Gabby, you can click the link below, subscribe to my Dear Gabby podcast on Apple, be the first to know when the episodes drop because they come out 1 week before the video. And you can download it to your phone, listen to it while you're driving, while you're cooking, while you're working out. You can just get more Gabby wherever you are. And if you feel called, leave a review. I'd love to hear from you. Now let's get back to this episode. Before we wrap up, would you do like a 1 or 2 minute meditation with self? Would that
Sure.
be reasonable? Okay, not reasonable. An honor.
Yeah, happy to do that. So, um, yeah, so take a second and get comfortable and just notice the parts of you that are present. And there might be parts that are trying hard to figure out what we're talking about, or parts that are skeptical, or parts that are all excited about it, parts that are feeling defensive or not wanting to think about your inner world much, trying to distract you. So these are all common protectors. And if it's possible, just let them know you see them. You see how they're trying to protect you. You want to get to know them more. You don't have time to do that right now. But see if they'd be willing to relax, even just a little bit inside, just for a couple minutes, so you could come more into your body. And you could go to each of them and just, again, ask it to give you a little space, to pull its energy out of you a little more, so you can come more into your body. If they're willing to do that, you'll feel more embodied, you'll feel more spacious, more at peace. With self comes a kind of sense that everything's okay. You might feel your heart's open more, your breathing is easier. And where you're not feeling those things, one of your parts is blocking. So you can go to the block and just ask it for a little more space, so you feel a little more of it. And at some point, you might even feel a kind of warm, vibrating energy, making your fingers tingle or your toes, which is what we call self energy. It's a very healing energy. And if you're not feeling any of these things and your parts aren't willing to separate, that's okay. Maybe they're just not ready to today, or maybe they have good reasons to not let you feel this way that you need to explore. But if they will let you, it's good to really get a felt sense of this state of self. So you can remember when you're in it and when you're not. And when you're not, you can find the part that's taking you out and work with that. So when the time feels right, you can tell your parts they can snap back to action if they want. And you can begin to shift your focus back outside. But see if even as you open your eyes, it's possible to hold some of this increased self state, even when you come back here. How was that?
Well, for me, it was beautiful. I have a part that likes to TMJ part,
Huh?
and it relaxed. Started feeling that clicking in my ear. Just started to let go.
Mhm.
So it's this. That's a strong part. Doesn't want to hang around.
Yeah. Good to get to know that one.
Yeah.
But as you can see, in contrast to so many spiritual traditions, we think of the ego as a bunch of little protectors trying their best, not as the enemy, not as something that's a parasite or something like that.
Right.
And so we ask parts to open space rather than trying to push them away or trying to force yourself to be empty of your mind.
If you like this video and you want to get more Gabby, check out the next one right over here.